Alright, welcome to the tutorial number 2. In here we're going to make items for this unit. So we'll go to Entities tab and we're gonna create a new item by clicking on Add Entity. There's a few templates that we can choose from. Let's start with the melee weapon. We're gonna call it punching or punch. And it's already got the sprite sheet, which I believe there's a combination of 3 different sprites. So if you take a look at animation for using this item, you can see that these balls, which sort of represents the hands that are moving over time, and then you can see that animation is played once at the speed of 20 frames per second. So what's gonna happen here is we're gonna go ahead and create this item first and foremost, and we're gonna go back to our unit homie, and we are going to give a default item punch to this unit. Now, there's a couple of things that we'll have to modify here. One is that this unit already has 2 fists, so we're gonna have to get rid of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'll download this image and use my image editor. And for me, my favorite image editor is Sprite. I'm gonna use the eraser tool, and I'm going to erase the fists. I saved the file and I am going to upload it by clicking on change the cell sheet. It's just a single image, so both column count and row count will remain as 1. I'm going to upload the file. I'm going to save this unit and we will republish the game, and let's take a look at what happens. Okay, great. Now we have a fist. And we can actually use that as well. I'll tell you more about how this is working. But I am seeing that these fists are just a tad bit too far away from the unit body. So I'll reduce the distance by clicking on punch, and I'll open its body type. There are 2 body types when the item is selected by the unit and when the item is dropped. Right now the item is selected, so I'm gonna open this. And you can see that the type of body that the item has is sprite only. It doesn't actually have a body. And it's connected using weld joint. We don't actually need this, so I'm just going to set this as none. And the width and height, I think they look okay. But yeah, we do need to change the anchor, which right now the unit anchor is 48. Let me provide you with an illustration of how unit anchor and item anchors work. So let's say if this is the unit, and if the item's unit anchor is, let's say, 100 on the y-axis, so 0, 0 would be here. So if there's like 100 pixel of a y-axis of anchor, the item then will be positioned 100 pixels above the unit. Then this would be the starting point of the item. Now, if the item has the item anchor of x and y variable, it will then add another offset from this point. So let's say if the item has 50-50 anchor from the unit, this will then further move the item to the right by 50 and a bit higher 50 as well. So the item is actually going to be positioned, somewhere up here. So that's how item anchor and unit anchor works. Just to illustrate, the red line would represent the unit anchor of 100y, and x is 0 right now. And the item anchor, which I'll represent in color blue, is right here, which is 50 by 50. And 50 here as well. So, yeah, so that's what this would do. However, we don't want to do this. We want the axis to be 0. And we want the item anchor to be 0 as well. However, for the unit, let's do about a 50 or maybe do a 40. And what this is going to do, let's say this is the unit and it's at 0, 0. We're setting the unit anchor at 40, so it'll probably end up somewhere here. And then item anchor has 0 and 0. So it's gonna remain here as well. So we're gonna have the rendering of the item, which are the two fists. So it'll show up something like this, which is kind of what we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and let's take a look at how the item is going to be rendered. We're gonna go ahead and republish. By the way, we're still at the early stage for the game editor where we are sort of forced to republish every time to see the changes in effect. But in our future version, which is gonna be released pretty soon, you won't have to republish every time. In fact, the items will actually, the changes in item will reflect immediately after saving the changes. All right, so yeah, the arms are, or the fists are a lot closer to the unit now. Yeah, so this is definitely more desirable. Now, I can actually use the item by left clicking, and it's actually playing animation. I'll explain it to you why this is happening. So if you go to entities and go to punch, you can see that there's an effect tab, which has different effects, like a built-in effects, depending on what happens to this item. So for example, on create, we can actually decide what kind of projectiles we want to produce, or what kind of sound we want to play, or play animation, and so on and so forth. On destroy, same thing. But however, on use, when the item is getting used, we have it so that we're actually playing the use animation for the item. Now, you're probably wondering, then what is causing this item to be used, right? You can see that under the player units scripts. So we have these 4 different scripts. One is for start using the item, which uses the item currently held by this entity being homie, continuously until stopped. And then we have stop using item, and then we have pick up item and drop item. Now, what's triggering this script to run is defined within homie's properties. So if you left click on the homie, you can open this properties window, and under controls tab, you can see that we're defining mouse left click to run the script start using item. So that's how it's programmed to actually use the item, the fist. Now let's get a bit of a target practice here and add things that we can actually target and attack. So what I'll do is I'll create trees in the game that we can actually hit. Oh wow, we have a visitor. Hi. So yeah, as you guys can see, as you're building the game, you can actually interact with other players in real time. On a second thought, let me end the video here and show you guys how to make the tree in the next video. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.